All right, welcome back. I'm trying again. Hope you can hear me this time. We seem to be struggling with internet issues again. I think the entire island is suffering from internet issues, it appears. Um, but it's more impactful for me because I can't get to talk to you as I normally would. But anyways, I hope you'll be able to connect. I see a few persons connecting again. Um, yeah, so it's another Q&A where we can talk a bit about what's happening in the country. The UIC plans. We've outlined our plans for some time now. And unlike the others, we're not always coming up with a whole stream of new gimmicks. We have some very clear ideas and strategies about how we want to fix the crime problem. But I must point out something to you that you may not have noticed or you may not have thought about. Um, we've been battling with this crime problem for years, and it seems to get generally worse. You have a few moments where it dips and then it spikes again. But the general continuum for crime in Jamaica is that it's going in the wrong direction, and it's consistently going in the wrong direction. Um, and we have to get at the root cause. What is causing this crime problem? Why is it that government after government cannot seem to arrest it? So even on Father's Day, we have to be talking about crime. But let me pause and say Happy Father's Day to all the true fathers out there. Whether you are a biological father or not, as long as you are somebody who cares for and protect the children around you, I salute you as a father. And I also, when we talk about fathers, we need to remember mothers. And when we talk about mothers, we have to remember fathers, because the truth is, we are a team. Life to me is a team sport. It's not something you run by yourself. It's something you run with others. When we're born as babies, we're helpless. We can't help ourselves. We're depending on our parents, mostly, our mothers, of course, because of the very nature of childbirth. Mothers spend, 9 months or thereabouts, depending, carrying us around inside of them. And when we come out, we're depending, on the normal circumstances on their milk. And not just the mechanics of getting milk, we also need the tender love and care of a mother. But nothing beats having a father in the home to support such a mother and to help her in her task and her duties as a mother, to support her, to be there for her. And I can tell you this, that any single woman knows the pain of not having a father in the home in those very, very important, stressful, tense, and delicate moments when you first bring a child into this world. So fathers are very important. And it's important that as fathers we play our part in building a healthy home environment for our children, because this is how we are going to impact the society. Many of the ills we have in society today is because fathers and mothers have failed to carry out. But even bigger than that, the truth is our school system is not designed to make us good parents. Our school system is designed off a model which focuses on making us good workers, good soldiers who will take orders from a boss and just carry out our task in order to get money. And so the focus of our education has not been on the total person. And that is why the UIC's education policy is designed around bringing out the total being, the total person, mind, body, and personality in our children. Hello, Gloria Morris. Good to see you on. So, as we talk about Father's Day briefly here, it is very important to recognize the role that the school system has to play in shaping our fathers, shaping our mothers, shaping parents, and shaping society. And so far, our school system in Jamaica has not done a very good job of that. But the truth be told, the school system is run by our government. It shapes the curriculum. It dictates what examinations we're going to take. It shapes the teaching profession and the teachers that we have in our classroom. So in essence, what you see in our society today is the sum total of how our governments over the years have shaped our education system. Teachers shaped our curriculum, and by extension, shaped those who would become parents. So if I have a problem with our parents today, it's because of the education they received yesterday. How did that education prepare them to be parents? And as you know, in Jamaica's system, we fail about 70% of our students every year. And those who don't fail, the good ones, the best ones, for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part, the best ones migrate and leave the country very quickly in order to find a place where it is safer to live, more advantageous to live, where the opportunities are more, the skills and get compensated at a high enough level to enjoy a decent standard of living, forces many of us into economic exile out of Jamaica. So all of this comes back to government. The governance model, the leadership that we've experienced over the years shapes our society, shapes our school, shapes our teachers, shapes our parents, shape our students. And so the Jamaica you see today is as a result of how governments of the past and into the present have been shaping our society. So let me pause again to say big up to all of you who are online right now, whether you're on our Facebook page, seeing this on YouTube. Thank you for being here with me on this Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. And I hope all the mothers are doing some nice things for the fathers today. And I want to say a really big, special Happy Father's Day to the real fathers. I was not fortunate enough to have a real father in my life. So I've had to learn to be a father from other things, from books and my own intellectual development. But my father was not a father to me. He was more like a slave driver. I met my father when I was about 9 years old. About 9 years old. At that time, I was living with my mother in a one-room home in the road in Washington Boulevard area. And I think I met my father once when my mother was desperate. She was really broke. I think she took me around to a bar that he was in on Washington Boulevard, and he happened to be there. I think somebody come and tell her, Miss Ruth, Joe around this. So my father and I have the same name. And so she took me around there, for money to help out. I don't recall how the entire thing went, but I know it wasn't pleasant. And I don't think she got what she went for. But I did remember having an exchange with him at the time. Well, not so much, well, he spoke, but I was there. And then subsequent to that, he came by and picked me up at my home and took me to a place called Shoppers Fair. It was this big grocery and merchandising store up at the top of Washington Boulevard. I think that's what it was called, Shoppers Fair. But they had all kind of stuff in there, all kind of merchandise, as well as maybe some grocery and stuff. And for the first time in my life, this was now closer to 11, and he bought me a full thing of clothes and some toys and so on. First time my entire life. And I ran away from home around age 11 plus, going to 12, and went to live with him. Wrote my mother a letter and told her that it was time for my father to pick up the responsibilities. And so I ran away from home and went to live with him. My mom and me, tried to get me. It didn't quite work out nicely, but she never gave up on me, and she remained quite supportive. only for me to find out that all that glitters is not gold, and it's, not always green on the other side. So my father's house, which was much more opulent or, prosperous than my mother's, him have front lawn and grass and nice edging and satellite dish Christmas tree, more than one room, had about 3 or so bedrooms, backyard, had a big fishing pond at the back of the yard, nice mango tree, Delco system, and when light gone, we have light. So he was living quite a much more opulent life than my mother. But he was not particularly keen on the fact that I was a pretty dunce. So I wasn't very bright academically at the time. Not because I didn't have potential, but my mother didn't have the time to spend with me, when I was in school. Well, none of us, neither me, my brother, or sister. And so we kind of just existed in school. Now, I had my own interest. I was quite the reader. My grandmother taught me to read when I was 3 years old. So I was quite the reader. So I could read very well. But my writing was crap too. Very bad on writing. I didn't learn good penmanship. Still can't write too good today. And so when I went to live with my father now, and he found out that I was not particularly academically gifted, in his mind, he kind of, pushed me aside and focused on me being a extra pair of hands. So that's where child labor comes in. So I spent, most of my time where it comes down to him, it was working. So I worked in his businesses, which was kind of good actually in the end, because I learned how to check off cashiers and them kind of stuff. I had to clean up the place, and I have to do all of this before I go to school, So nighttime I have to check off the cashiers and stuff. In the morning I have to clean the place, stock the refrigerator, put out the stocks on the shelf, get the place ready for the next day before going to school. We had some big dogs at the time. I had to make sure I cook their food and feed them. Then when I come home, we raised chicken and turkeys and all that kind of stuff. So I had to make sure I clean out their coop and, put in sawdust, and just a lot of coordination, a lot of operation things I had to do. He wasn't interested anymore in my academics. And so I was sent to Spanish Town Secondary, which incidentally is where we have a lot of crime issues right now. A big flare up in shootings and stuff. So I went to Spanish Town Secondary, and there I kind of found my footing because, I think it was said that I couldn't do much with my head, so I had to learn to do something with my hands. So at Spanish Town Secondary, I decided to really do something with my head. And so things kind of changed a lot. I started to get really engaged in my schoolwork and became focused on self-teaching, teaching myself everything. So I really mastered the sciences. I love history, and I really dug in and tried to understand history, not from a superficial sense or remembering dates, but in terms of history, in terms of context, what really happened, why, what motivated what might have been the conditions of the people at the time, what were the limitations, what were the incentives for certain behaviors. So I really studied history from an experiential standpoint to understand the experience of the people, the context of the people, and the connectivity between countries, what was happening in this country versus that country. Of course, I always looked at that in reference to Jamaica, Jamaica being the center of my world and these other countries operating around it. So I really developed a sense of history, and doing that kind of study led me to realize that a key part of history is money and power. So the real battles were always about money, about power, about controlling wealth. And so that led me to wanting to truly understand economics. And, I gravitated from a career in engineering, my first study. My father was interested in that, and he was quite dismissive of anything else but engineering. So I ended up kind of going in that direction, which was good because being an engineer develops a certain side of mind, a certain way of thinking, system thinking, problem solving, approaching a problem from the the principled base, the foundation, what is driving this, which brings me to where we are today, and my position now as founder and president of the UIC, which is a political movement trying to rescue Jamaica from bad governance. And today, Jamaica is once again being crippled by crime and violence. And as I was saying in my earlier comments, what's the genesis of this? There are a number of factors contributing to the crime problem in Jamaica. And it's not today, it's a number of factors. Now, there are issues today. There are decisions by the government today, policies by the government today, which is affecting the crime problem. So the policies during the last 2 have really upended the economy of many persons. It has pushed persons over the edge in many ways, both from just frustration, depression, to finding more explicit forms of crimes in which to make money as opposed to others. It has pushed more of our young people into scamming. It has strengthened the gangs, and the powers that be behind the scenes continue to do their dirty work of benefiting from crime in ways that I'm sure most of us don't understand. Yeah. But their crime is big business, and there are persons making a lot of money from the continuation of this. There's obviously quite a trade in guns and ammunition going on. So our borders are not being controlled properly. So that's one area where if we had good government, our borders would be locked down. We have soldiers sitting in camp, or we have soldiers being used to, do things in our society which is not the work of a soldier. What we want our soldiers to be doing, or army to be doing, is patrol borders, controlling our customs, and making sure that nothing that shouldn't come in gets in. And one area that they can do that is stopping the guns and ammunition from coming in. If the criminals don't have guns and ammunition, they cannot be able to use guns and ammunition because it would be in limited supply. So we need to make guns and ammunition scarce. Yeah. So hi Beverly, happy Father's Day. Well, not to you, but to all the fathers, and thank you very much for that. And Neil, good, cool guy, wonderful. But yeah, whatever. We need to use our army more effectively. And if we have the army to lock down our customs and our ports and surveil our borders and making sure that nothing can get into Jamaica that shouldn't come into Jamaica, then that will be one of the big impacts to the crime problem. There's also the issue of just identifying persons in important positions like those in our government, both elected and unelected, who have significant roles, also in our police high command and in the private sector at large, and take a serious look at where is it their monies are coming from. Do a proper audit, a forensic audit, and see if we can connect the dots between income and assets, and see if there's a mismatch between the income and assets. And you might find through a careful forensic audit that you quickly identify the links with criminals by following the money. Yeah. So if we're serious about stopping the crime problem, we become serious about auditing our politicians and look at where their income came from and the assets that they have, and see. We do the same in our, and you'll quickly identify those who have extraordinary assets and the income trail cannot justify it. And that will begin to weed out some of the problems. We're going to have to change the police force into a police service, and then do a top-down analysis of how some people get to be where they are, and make sure that the people who are in the positions have the competences to carry out the job. And they're not just there because of friend and company or connections and political appointments, but they're actually competent to do the job. Right now, we have a national security minister who's clearly not able to do the job or unwilling to do the job, whichever one. Either he's incompetent or he's complicit. So we can't afford to have a national security minister like that. Similarly, we can't afford to have a commissioner of police like that. So we need to, weed out. Yeah. Hi, Tracy. Good to see you on. Sorry you couldn't find us at the mall yesterday, but we're going to be back on July 2nd in Mandeville. We're going to be back in Mandeville on July 2nd. So get ready for that. Now, I want to draw your attention to something a little bit more sinister here. I want you to think about this. The two parties have been in control of our government to some degree for 78 years. I want you to think about this carefully. Have been in control of government for 78 years. So they're either in government or in the opposition, but they have always been for 78 years entrenched in governing this country. Now, follow me closely. They have combined between them 456 councillor caretakers. These are persons who run for municipal office as councillor candidates. 228 is elected at each sitting. So between the two major parties, they have found and have control of 456 persons at the grassroots level. These persons set up the political mechanism at these divisional levels. So what you have is, remember, we have a country. The country is divided into 3 counties: Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey. And in each of these counties, you have parishes, 14 of them altogether. And within each parish, you have constituencies, 63 of them. And within each constituency, you have divisions where you subdivide up the constituency into smaller areas. And these divisions are overseen by councillor candidates. Remember now, these two parties have been in office for 78 years. And they have always kept their ears to the ground so that at election time they can bring out the votes. They have worked very closely with the members of the community. They know every household by name. Who live here, so who live here, so who live here, so who live here, so. They know which party the family support, Labour, right, JLP. They know who vote and who don't vote. They have the voters list. I mean, we're talking about two very organized gangs. They're very, very organized. They know every inch, nook, and cranny of Jamaica. These two parties, yeah? So the JLP has 228 councillor candidate caretakers in Jamaica. The PNP has 228 councillor candidate caretakers in Jamaica. Between the two of them, they have 456 such councillor candidates. Now, each councillor candidate in those divisions has teams associated with each polling station. They have 2 indoor agents and 2 outdoor agents. Let's do the math. I want you to follow me carefully. And this is important to understand, So they have 2 indoor agents plus 2 outdoor agents, right? That's 4. Plus they have a team of people who work with those 2 indoor and 2 outdoor agents to bring in the election, bring in the votes come election day. Let's assume that they have a total of, say, 10 other persons. It's more than that sometimes, but let's assume they have 10 other persons working. So that's a total of 14 persons they have working. Follow me carefully here, okay? So the two parties, they have 228 councillor candidates caretaker each. So that's a total of 456 persons they have with their ears to the ground, that is involved in the community, that knows everybody and know where everybody is. And within each of those divisions, they have persons at each of the polling stations working to bring in votes. Let's say 14 at each of the polling stations. Now, in each division, there's approximately between 25 and 35 polling divisions. Let's use a round number and just say 25. So it's 14 times 25. That's 350 persons that they have working in a particular division. Now let's multiply that division by the total number of divisions that we have, which is the total number of candidate caretakers we have, which is 456, 228 from B, 228 from B. So we're going to multiply that by 456. That's 159,600 persons they have in their network working at the grassroots level to make sure that they win the elections. These 160 persons plus, they also now between them, remember there are 63 constituencies. So between the two of them, they have a total of 126 MP candidates. So let's add that to our number, 126. That brings us even closer to the 160,000. So you want to tell me that after being in power or in opposition for 78 years and have some 160,000 persons on the ground in each of those constituencies, each of those divisions, that you have used year after year after year to win or try to win elections, you're telling me that having done that for 78 years now, you are unable to identify and help the police to apprehend all the major criminals in this country. Think about it. There's no way that two well-established political organizations that have well-developed ground troops throughout the country, that have helped them to win elections after elections, that are embedded in the communities, whether it's Tivoli or let's say UNDEN or Seaview Gardens or Olympic Way. I'm using some St. Andrew and Kingston areas now. You want to tell me, and in Spanish Town, you want to tell me that these well-established politicians, the Prime Minister has been more than 25 years in Parliament. The National Security Minister has been in this thing for years. Most of these men are dinosaurs and women, dinosaurs and dynasties in our politics. And you want to tell me that after 78 years in office, whether on the government bench or opposition bench, that they don't know where and how to get all of the criminal elements that are causing mayhem in our society. You and I would be very foolish to think that the Prime Minister of Jamaica and the opposition leader and their teams don't fully know very well what is driving the crime in Jamaica and what must be done to stop it. I submit to you that as we speak here right now, they are laughing at us and taking us for fool, thinking that they are trying to solve a problem that they know full well the cause of the problem. They know full well how to find all the people causing the problem. And they know full well what must be done to stop this crime problem in Jamaica, but they will not. You might recall in the 1990s when Bruce Golding stepped forward and started to try to attempt to tell us exactly what is going on. And then he was quickly co-opted back into the JLP. You might recall Omar Davis talking about how they run with it in a previous election because they do all kind of criminal activities and to hold state power and to keep the Jamaican people down. That we, the Jamaican people, stop allowing ourselves to be fooled. No matter what the Prime Minister come and say on TV, do not be deceived. He knows exactly what is going on and he knows how to solve this crime problem. But he will not solve the crime problem because they're using this as a game. It's a game that the two parties play with the Jamaican people. And crime is a political football. And they will come with all kind of passionate speeches and arguments to suggest otherwise. The Prime Minister is currently now attacking those who believe in protecting the rights and freedom of the Jamaican people. He says the most important thing we need to worry about is life. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, life without liberty is no life at all. So we in the UIC is not only concerned about life, we're concerned about liberty as well. And we're concerned about defending our property rights as well, Mr. Prime Minister. The Jamaican people wants a government that is going to protect the life, the liberty, and the property rights of all Jamaicans by providing them with a safe, clean, and yes, orderly society. And that order must not come at the expense of their rights to freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of choice, and freedom of association. So we need a government in Jamaica that is going to respect our rights and keep us safe. We don't want a government that says, the only way I can keep you safe is by taking away your rights. That is not good governance. That is not good governance, Mr. Prime Minister. That is trickery, if not cowardice. So either you're a coward, Mr. Prime, or you're just trying to trick the Jamaican people into giving up more of their rights so that the next time your foreign masters give you a command, you'll be able to carry it out more swiftly because you would have locked off every avenue for us to stand up for our rights and freedom. We will not forget what you did during the last 2 years. We'll not forget how you tried all avenues to see if you could either bully, scare, bribe, or indirectly through employers, force the Jamaican people into the net and the trap that you and your colonial masters tried to set for the Jamaican people to take away our bodily autonomy. We'll not forget, Mr. Prime Minister. And so the Jamaican people will not be fooled. We will not be fooled, Mr. Prime Minister, into thinking that the only way to solve crime in Jamaica is to give up our rights to our liberty, Mr. Prime Minister, or our property. So let me be very clear. In summary, if the PNP and JLP, after 78 years in control of our government, is unable to solve the crime problem, they need to step down. Now, the PNP doesn't have a talk anymore. They, more than anyone else, have had more than enough time. More than enough. 18 and a half years, they have been in government straight. And when they finished, Jamaica was worse than when they got it. So the PNP has no place in this discussion. Peter Bunting has no credibility to speak on the topic of national security in this country. The PNP has wrecked Jamaica, and they have no right and no authority to even seek to be re-elected in this country. And the JLP, they have been given so many opportunities to demonstrate that they can do something better. And on every occasion, they have failed the Jamaican people. Let us not forget that the first political party elected in Jamaica was the JLP. The JLP was the first political party elected in Jamaica in 1944. They got 2 terms to fix Jamaica, and they squandered that opportunity. They failed the Jamaican people. And they always fail on one primary area, and it is corruption. All the time. You go back and check the history. Every time you elect this party called the JLP, it's mired in corruption in all directions. The JLP was again the first political party elected upon Jamaica becoming a so-called independent country. So they had a second chance, another 10 years, another 2 terms, that's 20 years roughly. They had to give Jamaica a clear expression of how they can make Jamaica a better place. And once again, they squandered that opportunity in 1962 when they were elected to lead us into independence. What did they do with that opportunity? Did they make Jamaica a republic? No. Did they abolish the colonial police force and give us a police service that would respect, protect, and serve the Jamaican people? No. Did they give us a fair and free economy that works from the bottom up instead of a trickle-down economics economy? No, they didn't. So like the PNP, the JLP has been given a number of opportunities to move this country into becoming a first-class country, but instead, like the PNP, the JLP has dragged this country down. It is time, my fellow Jamaicans, for us to make up our mind that we have enough of them. It's time, my fellow Jamaicans, for us to say, we have given you more than enough time and you have failed us. You might not be aware of this, but in the 83, 84 elections, the PNP did not contest that election. So the JLP had 100% of the seats. The JLP had 100% of the seats. They had complete control of the Senate. If they wanted to make Jamaica a republic, they could have and would have done it then, because they had more than a 2/3 majority to do so. But I can tell you this, the JLP is truly a colonial party. It is committed to keeping Jamaica under the British authority. Historically, that's been the role of the JLP. They were the ones that undermined federation in the 1950s. They were the ones who would not want Jamaica and the Caribbean to have its own court of appeal. And today, the very prime minister we have today, who was born after independence, is the same one who proudly took the QC title to further and strongly align himself with the colonial powers. It's the same one who, in trying to deflect from the realities of his bad policies, brought those white people here as royals and have our children sticking their hands through mesh to try to touch their royal flesh. And I say that sarcastically because they're not royal. Nobody is more royal than you. And I can tell you this, I'm going to paraphrase Marcus Garvey. Any leader that leads you to depend on another man or another race or another nation for your existence is a leader that will lead you right back into slavery. And that is where the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Jamaica Labour Party, the opposition leader, and the People's National Party, that's exactly where they're right back into slavery. Not the same slavery that you read about in the history books with physical chains and whips and an obvious white master walking around. No, a different kind of slavery. One where you become tenants in your own country. One where you can't afford a house or land in your country. One where you have to live in a menial condition in your own country, while others are reaping and benefiting from the economy at your expense while you live and suffer in your own country. Decent standard of living, you have to try to leave this country. You can't stay here. That is where the PNP and the GLP is leading this country. And we have to stand up to them now. We have to become wise now. We have to become smart now. We have to understand the game that they have been playing with us. The game that they're playing is a game that I want you to truly understand. Let me tell you the game. You must understand this game. If you don't understand this game, then go and trick us again. The election is just around the corner. Yeah? We're going to have an election just around the corner. If they have it in 2024, it's just around the corner. If they have it in 2023, it's just around the corner. Right now, they're trying to destabilize and destroy the UIC from within. They planted some people in here and they funded them, and then have those people all around the place going after all of our candidates, fooling them up, tricking them. But here's the game. I want you to understand the game clearly. The game is this. The game is to keep Jamaica locked between the JLP and the PNP and to fool you into thinking that you have a choice. You don't have a choice. If the only choice you have is PNP and JLP, you do not have a choice. Why? Because the two choices, the so-called two choices, serve the same master. And that master is not you or the people of Jamaica. That master is the PSOJ oligarchy and the colonial masters outside of our country who sets up the system and places that system on us via these unpatriotic tribal leaders that you must see the trick, my friend. They're very happy that more and more of you are not voting. They're happy with that. They have no concern with more and more of you not voting. That's okay with them. It means less mouths to feed, less handouts to give. And if they can give $300 million of handouts and then get to own your system and make billions from it by taxing you directly and indirectly. I don't think you don't pay tax. Every Jamaican pay tax in this country. Every single Jamaican. You pay tax with bad roads. You pay tax with bad school. You pay tax with bad hospital. You pay tax with lack of sidewalk. You pay tax with bad water supply. You pay tax with electricity problems. You pay tax when you buy anything in the store. GCT, 15%. So everybody pay tax. So don't think you can escape government. You cannot escape government. All you can do is pretend as if you're not going to be impacted. So my friends, we are going to have to step up our efforts. I need your help to do that. There are some people out there fighting against me very hard. You have people that used to be in this movement and now they're trying to take over the movement, claiming that they are the true UIC out there. They have been sent as agents to destroy this movement, and they're working very hard to do that. They have called every one of our candidates and enticed them, give some money, tell some all kind of lies and foolishness. So they're committed. Every day they're working very, very hard to destroy this movement. They know the weakness of this movement because we're very transparent. Our weakness, which is also our strength, our weakness is that we are not taking any money from the PSLJ oligarchs who want to come and control and destroy this movement. We don't want their money. We are depending on you to send your 25 US dollar amount, your 10 US dollars a month, your 5 US dollar amount. And by US, I just use that. It's the equivalent. Some send Jamaican, some send British pound, some send Canadian. But they know we're depending on you. And they know that you have not sent us much. We value every single cent which is sent to us, but they know that we don't have the kind of money yet to fully go out into the highways and the byways and go and pull the Jamaican people in to buy social media ads. They know we don't have that yet. Yeah. But you can make a difference. If 1,000 of us gave 25 US dollars a month or the equivalent, the UIC will have enough to go across the entire island into all the nook and crannies and bring out the votes to change Jamaica. We want a bloodless revolution. Now we're going to have a revolution one way or the other. We're already having one. You see, the crime and violence you see in Jamaica will only get worse as the system continues in place. Injustice begets injustice. So the evil that you're seeing coming out of the people, it's coming out of the people because of the evils in their leaders, you see. And so if you and I don't step up now and say, let us join hands together, let us fund the UIC movement. We don't want the money from the big people who will come and mash up the movement and turn it into one more of the same. We can't afford one more of the same. We need to have a clean, decent political movement that's going to create the Jamaica we want. A safe Jamaica, a clean Jamaica, an orderly Jamaica that protects your right to your life, your liberty, and your property from government and from unelected criminals. There are two types of criminals. There are elected criminals and unelected criminals. And right now, the most dangerous of the two is the elected criminals because they have the power of the police force behind them. They have the power of our tax dollars behind them. So here's the trick. Here's what I've done so far, and I want you to understand this. If you notice, no matter what the subject matter is, you will not hear in the news that the UIC has any position on it. You will not hear in the news that the UIC is for a true republic and is against the fake republic that Andrew will try to pass on the Jamaican people. You will not hear that the UIC has a crime plan, an anti-crime plan, in comparison to the government's consistent use of states of emergencies and billions of dollars and accomplishing nothing. You will not hear about the UIC's 10-point plan, our plan to help our students coming out of school to be in a full-time apprentice job and not out there on the streets and being vulnerable to be taken in by gangs. You will not hear any of this in the news. It is a strategy. It is a strategy, and it's working, by the way. It's a working strategy. It's a strategy by the PSA oligarchs who control the media houses to make sure that in the normal affairs of the news, the Jamaican people do not hear about the UIC. So that's part of the strategy. Don't hear about the UIC. And the more they make sure the people don't hear about the UIC, is the more the people don't hear and don't know that they have this option. And when elections are called, yes, they will then say, oh, we have another party or another one. They'll probably have 2 or 3 more parties just to confuse the people, to make sure that the people can't figure out. And because we would not have control of the media, or the money to buy the kind of media attention that is given freely to the other parties, because every day the other parties get free media. Every day you watch TV, you're going to see something from the JLP and something from the PNP. In the news, we're not talking paid advertisement, so they're not paying for this. This is free advert every day for the JLP and the PNP, every day, to cement it in the mind of the people, to make the people believe there's no other option, so the people can be focused on Lord and them again, and then the people become resigned. They want you to be resigned. They don't want you thinking you have any hope. They don't want you coalescing around and creating a movement and championing your freedom from these two evil forces. They don't want you to have that. And so we have to step up, you and me. We have to step up and fund this movement, volunteer in this movement, help us to spread the word, give us the funds we need to do more advertisement on social media platforms, give us the funds we need to strengthen our poor candidates across the country to be able to do the work in their communities. We have to do this together. We are indeed stronger together. And if we want to create one Jamaica, we're going to have to work together. So we're battling on many fronts. Right now, the UIC is battling a faction that have developed in the movement and which has been expelled from the movement, and they're busy trying to destroy the movement. They have a list of our people that they took with them illegally, fraudulently, and they contact all of those people and try to pull them away. They say many disparaging things about me to try to destroy my character so that people would lose confidence and say, oh, I'm not bothered with the UIC. Them are just like the other two. That's their goal. They want that to happen. They want you to see it that way. And then at the same time, they're distracting our time away from focusing on dealing with the national issues, because we have to be dealing with also these people. So they're busy between all the different points, tearing away the UIC in the hope of completely demolishing us and taking away the hope of the Jamaican people. That is their goal. And so if you want to donate to the UIC, make sure you go to our website, uicjamaica.com, and click on the donate button, and it will tell you all the ways you can donate. You can donate via the portal online, which allows you to donate from your debit card, credit card, or PayPal. And you can also donate by sending funds to our bank account, or depositing directly to the bank if you can. So there's so many ways, but it's all there on our website. Always only use our website. The detractors are out there trying to get people to scam people, to tell them to give them the money instead. So you have to be very careful of them. So only go to our website, uicjamaica.com. Do not listen to anybody who call you and tell you about another way to donate. You go straight to our website, uicjamaica.com, and donate there. But please, I want you to be aware of the fact that their intention is to make sure that come the next election, the UIC is not ready and prepared to win it. That's their goal. And I'm asking you, begging you, please, don't let them win again. Jamaica cannot afford another 5 years of these two parties running our country. Just look at it. Look at the crime. Look at the economy. Look at the suffering. Why would the PSOJ oligarchs fund two parties that have consistently failed us on every key metric? Think about it. Would you hire somebody for that long unless they were benefiting you? No, you wouldn't. The only reason why the PSOJ oligarchs are funding these two parties is because they are benefiting from it. Even if we, the Jamaican people, are suffering and dying, they are benefiting from keeping the system the way it is. They're happy with the system the way it is. They want it to remain this way. They want to keep Jamaica down. I see Ms. Dixon is saying, yes, Mr. Patterson, this is what I see when I was in the other day for 5 months. And whenever I mention about this party, no one knows about the third party. Yes, people know about it. It's not no one. But I know when you talk to many people, you see what happened is the way Jamaicans operating, or anybody, if something is not constantly in front of you, you forget about it. The UIC is not constantly in front of the people. For us to be constantly in front of the people, we need funding to be out there on the ground. It takes a lot of time away from work, a lot of gas, wear and tear on your vehicle. So you have some people out there who just say, we should just do everything. We should be everywhere. We should be all over the place doing everything. And they're just sitting there on social media saying all of this, because it's easy for them. So they can just sit there on a Facebook Live and say, where is the UIC? Where is Mr. Patterson? You should be everywhere. How can we be everywhere when we collect only 3 million Jamaican dollars for the year in donations? How far can 3 million Jamaican dollars take us? Let's do the math. 3 million Jamaican dollars divided by the current exchange rate of 155. That is $19,355 for the year. Let's divide that by 365 days. That is 53 US dollars a day. Can 53 US dollars a day go to help a political party to do all the work that it needs to do? How far? You tell me. How far can 53 US dollars a day take a political party? How far? Now, with that limited amount of money, with that small amount of money, we have made a great impact on Jamaica. We have shifted government policy. We have caused government to pause in its approach and shift a different approach just because we stood up on 53 US dollars a day to run a party. Okay? The two major parties, just for the election cycle alone, a few weeks, they get 300 million from the PSOJ oligarchs. They get 300 million for just a few weeks. We get 3 million Jamaican dollars for an entire year. $53 a day, US. Let's be real, my friends. Let's be practical. Let's be very, very real and practical here. And not behave as though fairy tale world. I have sacrificed immensely. There's absolutely nobody in the UIC right now, and nobody who has ever been involved in the UIC before now, who has spent more money on this movement than me. Nobody at all. Not one person. Not one person. Many persons have joined, and when they see how hard the work is, they have left. I have been here from the beginning, from January 3rd, 2012 to today. I have been here. And you have some people who come and they want to just walk in and take over the movement without doing the work. No way, Jose, not going to happen. But I want to make the point very clear to all of us. There is no way for the UIC to succeed on 53 US dollars a day. That's what we have been subsisting on. 53 US dollars a day. Now, I see a question here. Mr. Patterson, What if 1,000 person gave $5 on top of the 25? Would that help with buying ads on TVJ or CVM? Yes, it would definitely help Supreme TV. It would definitely help if people gave $5 more. But all I'm asking right now is 25. All I'm asking. Give us 20, give you the best People's Party the world has ever seen. Give us $25 and we promise you, I promise you, you will see a party that you can be proud of. We will elect UIC and we will win the government. Even if in the first election we only win 5 or 10 seats, that will be enough to have the balance of power in the parliament, I can assure you. If we win 5 or 10 seats, it's game over for the two major political parties. They will no longer have the ability to do what they've been doing to us, because now you're going to have serious scrutiny and we will hold a balance of power in the parliament to bring about real, measurable, impactful change for the people of Jamaica. Just give us the chance to do that for you. Give us $25. And by the way, if you don't have that, that's okay, because every mickle make a muckle. So if you can only give $5, give it religiously. Send $5 every week. Send $5 every month, whatever you can. $10, $20, $100. I remember our former chairman, Mr. Humphrey Sutherland, he gave for a full year $350 a month. Now that's a dedicated person. He did that back in the day when many never even know the UIC existed. He pumped that in to try to help us to move forward. Yeah. Others like Diana Hyman and Mario Booth gave hundreds of hours to help to build this movement. People like Mark Cameron spent several weeks with us here in 2016 trying to build for the then independent election that I ran. Give what you have, man. Give what you have. You may not have money, but you can help us to organize, you can help us to bring in candidates, you can help us to bring in people. Do that. If we all do a piece and stop, some of you up there, stop trying to tear down, man. Work with me. Let us build this movement together and let us capture our government, take back our government, take it out of the hands of the PSOJ oligarchs. Because on a PNP and GLP, I know some of you say you're a born PNP or you're a born GLP. Stop it. You're a born Jamaican. You're a son of this soil or a daughter of this soil. Your goal right now, your purpose right now, your mission right now, your desire right now must be for good governance in Jamaica. Now is not the time to continue to be a PNP or a GLP. It'll mash up Jamaica. It is destroying Jamaica. The time has come for you to be 100% Jamaican, committed to one single cause, and that is for us to create a safe, clean, and orderly, true republic, not a fake one. You want a Jamaica that will protect your right to your life, to your liberty, and to your property, not a Jamaica with a tyrant or a dictator who is able to undermine your rights and sell you out to foreign interest or local interest. It doesn't matter. You don't want no sellout. You don't want no special interest controlling your government, whether local or foreign. What you want is a system of governance that who is elected. That's the system the UIC has. When we're elected, we're going to bring in a new system that we call a non-partisan constitutional republic that is going to forever protect your individual sovereignty, protect your right to your life, to your liberty, and to your property, and ensure that you have a Jamaica that is safe, that is clean, that is orderly. So please, hands with me and my fellow uniters, that real new Jamaica, one Jamaica, united, strong, and free. Let me take some questions now. I've been talking a lot. Let me see if we have any questions here that I haven't answered. I see Lion Rule. Can you drop the website link in the chat? Please, somebody drop it in for me. I can't. It's UIC. Just write www.uicjamaica.com. So www.uicjamaica.com. Thank you for that, Rosemary King. Good to see you on. Rosemary is one of our directors on the JUMP program. Let me see here. Beverly Smith says the PSOJ and the government are intertwined. Absolutely, Beverly. They are one and the same. They're working together. They have colluded against the people of Jamaica, and they have done so for years upon years to our detriment. Jacqueline Dixon says, exactly, it's a 21st century pirates thriving from our, or thieving rather, from our country. Absolutely. These two parties and the PSOJ oligarchs are pirates indeed, robbing the Jamaican people blind each and every day. The longer they're in office, the poorer we shall be. Lion Rule says, we are standing with you, Mr. Patterson, and appreciate your sacrifice. Thank you. Up with the donation, please, says Lion Rule. You urgently need a councillor in porous Manchester. Yes, we do, Jason Williams, Roberts. Please give us a recommendation. Please bear in mind, all our candidates are not handpicked by me. We invite persons from the communities that are respected to run for office. So unlike the other parties that it's a game for them of just planting people all over the place. For us, it's about representing your community. So wherever you are, whether you're abroad or you're yard, talk to your people and find the best person you can find in your community and let them come forward and say, I want to be the candidate for the UIC, okay? And once we put them through the orientation process and put them through the vetting process and they qualify, they will stand for office. So please don't wait for me or the team to find the candidates. Help us by identifying persons, call them up, talk to them and say, hey, bro, you should run it. You're a good man or a good woman. You're well respected by your peers in the community. You're respectful. You are a diligent person. You're a hard worker. You're somebody that can manage and can lead people. Please stand for office, and then have them apply. Go to our website and sign up and say, I would like to be a candidate. We will then interview them, do some background checks, and run them through the orientation process. And if they fit the bill, they become your candidate. All of our candidates live in the constituency where they're least close by in the parish. All right? So, very important. Somebody says, Mr. Patterson is a man of his word and will be a great leader for Jamaicans. That includes GLP and PNP. I can assure you, I have no affiliation, no sympathy, there's nothing in me that connects me to PNP or GLP. Yes, my mother was a strong PNP supporter, but I told her when I was a child that 18 years old, I am not voting PNP and I'm not voting GLP because they have divided our country and have been used by powers local and international to destroy our country. I want to vote for Jamaica. And so, because I could not bring myself to vote for any of these two parties, I saw the only course of action was to create one. And I invite all of you to do the same. If you don't like the UIC, create a party, right? That's fine. But do not vote GLP or PNP. Under no circumstances should you bring yourself to vote PNP or GLP. But please, don't sit back either and wait for somebody else to come and fix the problem. You must be a part of the solution. You must get involved. Don't think you can go in and change the PNP and GLP. Young men, young women who are being fooled into joining and representing them, don't think you're going to go in there and change. You're joining a gang. You're joining the mafia. You're joining a destructive force, a force that has destroyed Jamaica over 78 years. Do not join them. Create your own party if you must, but do not join the JLP or the PNP, and do not vote for them because you're voting against yourself. A vote for either of those parties is a vote for the continuation of the destruction of our nation. I have no special affinity for either of them and never will, because I see them as the destroyer of our country, and they have been the destroyer of our country. So, I see here Jacqueline Dixon says, wow, now to the PSOJ don't want to donate to our third party with equal funds. No, they don't. The PSOJ will not donate to the UIC equal amount of funds as they give. They give to the other two roughly equally. And in any given period, they will give a little bit extra to one if the one is really very nice to them in terms of, going the extra mile to do what they want. But we can do it, To be honest with you, we don't even want the money from them. Honestly, we don't want them money. I know it's hard and it make my life harder, it make it more difficult, but I don't want them money. Because I want to tell you something. The other day, a vlogger that you know, some of you know him, this man has been giving $2 a month. Okay? Yeah, no, maybe 3-4 months somewhere, I'm not sure. And because he sends me instructions and I don't follow his instructions or do as he says, then he has gone on to defame me. So one day he's singing my praises, saying what a great man I am, what a great leader I am, the UIC is the best thing, and the UIC manifesto is the greatest. This is the manifesto that I led in its development. I guided its development. In fact, much of it I wrote myself. And this man says all these things are great. And then simply because I don't answer the phone as quickly as he calls or follow up on his messages as quickly as he leaves them, or follow his instructions when he bellows out an instruction saying you need to do this, I don't do it. Then he now is slandering me all across social media. He's slandering me every day. I mean, I don't know where he finds all the time, but then that's what he does, right? He has the time for that. He's not trying to run an organization. It's very easy to criticize somebody if you yourself don't have any responsibility. He has no accountability. He doesn't have to worry about building an organization and managing an organization. So he's able to slander all he wants. And you have others who know nothing at all about what's happening in the UIC. They know nothing. They listen to a few persons who are saying negative things, and then they take up the refrain and they carry it along. How unintelligent can you be? How can you make a decision by hearing what one other person said and you have no experience for yourself? You have never engaged, you have never participated, but you take the one person's view and you just run with it. When you have other evidence, anybody can look at the UIC and see what we have done, and you see the evidence of the work that I have done over the years. It's not rocket science. It's very clear. It's very, very present, But you have these persons who are able to do these kind of things and get away with it because it's a free country, which is fine. But my work speaks for me. I'm not ashamed of the work that I've done. I'm very proud of the work that I've done, and I'm very proud of the work that the team is doing, and I'm very proud of persons who have donated to this campaign and who have remained faithful to this campaign, recognizing this is not a puppy show. And if you understand that you're not going to call me every day, there's no way. I could never answer all the calls that come from all the people who are interested. Over 4,000 subscribers on one platform alone, another 1,000 over here, another 1,000 over there. I could not keep up. In fact, I have never gotten a chance to get to all of the messages on my phone. It's impossible because it's always coming, and there's one. So I can't reach everybody. So if one man gives $25 a month, and because I'm an influencer, I'm a very influential person. I have a blog, and I reach 600,000 people, and they follow me whatever I say. Cool. So for him, because he's a blog and because he gives $25 a month, I should now jump at his beck and call. Now, just imagine if one of the PSAJ oligarch members come and give $30 million, what would be their expectation? Think about it. If one come and give $100 million, what will be their expectation? Mr. Patterson must do as they say. Mr. Patterson must, if they say, change your policy, when I like the policy, they change it. I must just change it. You see how dangerous this is? So we don't want them money, to be honest. My pride and joy, hope and aspirations, my greatest desire is for this movement to be owned by the people of Jamaica, home and abroad, giving $5, $10, $25, $100, $500, $1,000. Broad base. And so no one among us would be able now to just say, well, because I give 20 million or 30 million, do what I say, or I'm going to go slander you. You see how important it is? So we have to make sure we guard this movement from those kind of people by making sure the UIC remains the people's party, the people's political movement, because it's funded by the people and owned by the people and not any one set of the people. So that this one set because they give $1 million, or this one set because they give $30 million, or this one set because he gives $25. No, we want it to be broad-based, owned by we the people, all the people. And so when any policy have to change now, we have to come to an AMC, the annual Congress, and say, we want to change a policy shift, and guess what? The members get to vote to say yes or no. Not one man behind the door saying, because me give you 30 million, do what I say, or I'm going to go up here and spread all kinds of stuff to get people to dislike you. And we have to guard against that, prevent that from happening by having the kind of movement that we want to create, where all of us have an equal say in the movement. All the way. Because we all give a little bit and we all get to vote at the annual members Congress for any major shift or changes in policy. And in between the annual members Congress, we have the National Executive Council, which meets a broad coalition, 3 vice presidents, the chairman who chairs the sessions, the treasurer, the general secretary, and me as the president, the chief executive officer, or whoever else you elect in the future. And I say it again, I want to call out all the cowards out there, because there's some cowards out there now, them coward. They can't contest me directly for the presidency, so they're trying to tear me down with all kind of lies and innuendos. Instead of them join the party, come inside, sit on inside, pay your dues, don't get into any slander, don't bring disrepute on the movement. Come in and declare your candidacy and face off with me squarely and demonstrate to the membership what you have done to move this movement forward, and let your work speak for you, and advocate policy changes that you think is necessary, and then come on the ballot and face me and become president through the front door. instead of trying to get the party from the back door. No backdoor deal. Come and get it face to face. Come and prove yourself. Do some work. Like I went to Mandeville yesterday. We're in Mandeville yesterday. That activity was led by one Mr. Donovan Moore. And I'm so proud of it. Mr. Moore is a member of the UIC. For a while, he has been a member, donates his money, and he sits in the back there and watch and participate from afar, so to speak, and give his little 2 cents in terms of comments here and there. But when he was called upon to lead a team and to organize this event in Mandeville, he stood up firmly and boldly and said, "Yes, I'm happy to help." And so I gave him the reins, and he called the meetings together, organized the people, put together the agenda, create the project plan, get people to volunteer for different positions and roles, submits his budget, and the thing follow a due process. And then we have our event on June 18th. And that young man demonstrated his leadership, demonstrated that he can be trusted to do something from start to finish. Now, a person like Donovan Moore, a person like Captain Burke, I call her Captain Burke, or Vice President Daniel Burke, who you can give a task to and they can carry it out to fruition. A person like Baba Tunde, a person like Nisha Earl, a person like Andrew Carey, a person like our chairman, Mr. Winston Wright, and one of my favorite, a person like our treasurer, Naika Williams. Young girl, 21 years old, and she has done work than any of those who are now detractors of the movement, who once sit in our board, couldn't do the work in the board, couldn't function effectively, couldn't deliver on tasks assigned to them, but now they're willing to be going out there and trying to destroy my character. And here's this little girl, 21 years old, who has superseded them all by being diligent in her work, by being competent in her work, by being selfless in her efforts. Hats off to people like those. It's the Naika Williams and the Donovan Moores and the Baba Tundes and the Daniel Burke and the Carlene Ramirez Acostas, the Jasmine Powells, the Douglas Harpers. These are the people who will move this movement forward. Now, I haven't mentioned my wife. It's like we're truly what the Bible calls the two shall become one. I could never exist without my wife, Mrs. Charlotte Masado Patterson. She is truly the wind beneath my wings. Without her, this movement would not exist. And so if I call any names, her name is literally at the top. Yeah. But Kenrick Gordon, yeah, Sheldon Wallace, Sheldon McGann, Latoya Wolf, Marlon Douglas, Janet Chokanowski, Michael Harvey, Chase Neal. These are names which will be etched in history for the great contribution they have made to this movement. And there are some that are not here anymore. People like Diana Hyman, Maria Booth, Dr. Hev, Patrice Campbell, Craig McKenzie, Janice Collins. These are names of people who have helped to build this movement. And when they move on, they didn't try to disparage the movement. They didn't try to spread lies or innuendos. They didn't try to take down the president. They didn't try to usurp the leadership. They were professionals. They were ethical. They were moral. They were decent people. And I have the greatest of regard and respect. And then there are those who have decided that they must be evil. Evil. But we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. With your help, we're going to get through it. So, Joan Williams, why don't you become a counselor in the area? Wonderful question. I hope Joan will become a counselor. Lion Rule says, let's unite and build together. UIC all the way with Mr. Patterson as the leader. I am definitely going to revisit and set up my payment plan, also $25. Thank you so much, Jacqueline Dixon. Noel James says the private sector is the ones who mess up Marcus Garvey party. They and the politician block Marcus Garvey teaching out of the schools. You are so right, Noel James. The PSOJ oligarchy, working together with the colonial masters and through the two colonial parties, have destroyed the soul of Jamaica. Just remember who we were. What you're seeing in Jamaica, this was never our culture. This culture you see here now, the scamming, the corruption, the murders, this is the culture that is created by the PNP and GLP. I tell people all the time, governance creates culture in any country. Any country you go to, the people you see there today is the product of its governance. If Jamaica had good governance and great leadership, it would be a different country. But the leadership of the likes of those who have led these two parties, and by the way, it's not just the leader, you know. So don't think that that Andrew Holness by himself is the problem. It's not Andrew. If you switch out Andrew with Christopher Tufton or with Audley Shaw, it doesn't matter. If you switch out Golding with Lisa Anna or Crawford, it will not change anything. It will not change anything. It's a person. It's the party. It's the culture of the party. It's the DNA of the movement. So over the years, the PNP has become what the PNP is. And the GLP has become what the GLP is. And you have to understand that the compromise started a long time ago. It just took time to be perfected. The first compromise that was made was when the biggest compromise, not the first, there are a number of compromises, but a big compromise was when we became so-called independent. When these two parties signed off on a document that claimed that Jamaica was independent while they kept us subservient to the Queen of England and have things like crown lands and adopt a governance model that is inherently corrupt by design. So they signed off on that in the early 1960s and brought us into 1962 under that arrangement. So now, if let's say Marcus Garvey was the party at the time, Marcus Garvey and his principles and his leadership, if that negotiation for independence was done with Marcus Garvey and his principles, they would never have accepted that arrangement. Just like today, the GLP leader, Mr. Holness, accepted the QC title to become a Queen's Counsel. Marcus Garvey would never have accepted that because he was too attached and too committed to our people, to our race, to our right to be a free people, to be a liberated people, to so attach himself to that. So when you see Andrew attach himself to the monarchy with the Queen's Counsel, that's him sending a clear signal to the powers that be where his loyalty is. When you see him bring them here to Jamaica and spread out the red carpet to walk on and have our people stretching and have them and remove the mask mandate so they don't have to wear the mask while the Jamaican people have been suffering in masks for how long? When you see that, you know where his loyalty is. When you see him go and beg like a dog to the president of the US for a few $1 million, you know the mindset that he has. He does not believe in the people of Jamaica. He has no desire to liberate the people of Jamaica. All he wants to do is to remain in power as the Backramaster over the people of Jamaica. And so we have to change that, you and I. So, Mr. Patterson and the UIC, no sellout, says Lion Rule. One Jamaica, united and free, said Rosemary King. I just dropped it, Mr. Patterson. Thank you. I'm not sure what you dropped, but thank you. Beverly Smith says yes. UIC positive movement, says Anne-Marie Taylor. PSOJ, including non-governmental organization as well. Oh, absolutely, Beverly Smith. There are a number of organizations here in Jamaica that are not working for the Jamaican people. They have other objectives and they're masking it as whatever. I'll tell you one of them. The Integrity Action Group, which says some lovely things from time to time, but watch what they're doing. They are being funded by their European masters to feed us a lie, to feed us a trick. So what do you know? They cover evil with good cloth. It's like a sheep, well, wrong. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So they come with nice sounding things, but the policies that they prescribe are dangerous for Jamaica. So take, for example, the UIC's approach to governance and to the electoral system. They have put in an electoral system that says political parties will get money based on the number of votes that they got. How ridiculous, right? They all know who is going to get the most votes based on the system they have in place. So when that provision in law becomes more effective, all that's going to happen is that the two major parties will get the lion's share of taxpayers' money to run their parties and shift the burden away from the PSOJ while still locking out any third parties. Think about it. In the last election, if you were to use those numbers to assign money, what would it be? Third party. Well, we boycotted the election, logically. If we didn't boycott the election, we'd probably still get less than 1% of the vote based on the way the thing is structured. So they would have 98 to 99% of the votes that were casted, even though 63% of the people did not vote. They will still have 98% or more of the votes casted, which means they would then get 98% or more of the funds available from the tax coffers to give to political parties, which would then mean they will have the money to run the next election again the same way they did the last and keep in perpetuity the kind of setup that you now have. So that model, even though it's sanctioned by all of these other non-governmental groups that were involved and so on, is a charade. It's a scam. Yeah, it's not going to change anything. Now the UIC model is a much better model. All models say, no, cut that out. Yes, let's get rid of private money out of the system. But what you do instead is fund the access of all candidates to get radio, TV, town hall, and debate access. Equal access for all the candidates. What does that do? It would immediately eliminate the advantage of the JLP and PNP and shift that advantage to people of Jamaica instead. How? Well, all the candidates will now have the same equal footing. No candidate would have an advantage because of the amount of money given to their party, because that would be excluded. You wouldn't have any partisan funding coming in. The PSAJ couldn't buy the process anymore because it would not be allowed. And all the candidates were given equal access and equal opportunity. You won't have a Jamaica Debates Commission that will decide which candidate can be a part of the debate. They would automatically all be granted a position on the stage based on them meeting the fundamental requirements that are set, such as, academic, experiential, age, and other eligibility criteria, such as, not having been a convict or whatever the case may be. So the UIC approach is to bring true equity to the space and true protection of the democracy, in terms of people's democratic right to vote, and also giving equal access to all of the candidates, that way. But they don't want that. So some of these groups, they're just there as a sham. They're there to carry out the objectives of the colonial masters, which are backing them behind the scene, giving them money so that they can continue to foist upon the Jamaican people the errors that they have been. Moving right along, Cool Guy says, Mr. Patterson, if someone is elected and they are not doing knowing that the people elected them, want to rectify that, we'll have a recall process that would allow the persons to recall them on solid grounds of evidence, and also the percentage of people interested in the recall. So that will be a big impact there. Good question. Jacqueline Dixon says, UIC, no more one meal or fix my house vote. Absolutely. Done with the JLP thing. Sir, does the UIC have a office? Yes, JMH, we have an office. It's at Bogue District in St. Elizabeth. That's the head office. People need to donate to JMH, absolutely. Joel says, or Noel rather, Noel G, private sector and the politicians, I guess, are the problems. Jamaica is on the wrong track right now. This change have to be a must, said Zai Zai. Thanks for the link. I think we need a call-in session, Mr. Patterson. Very good. So I'm going to do that. We're going to have a Zoom meeting. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say this right here now. Let me tell you. I hope you have subscribed to our website so you can get the email. Please go to our website now if you haven't, and just sign up as a member so that you can get this email that I'm going to. The team will send out this email sometime today. We're going to get this email coming, and let me tell you what it is going to say. Give me a second here. So we're going to have a meeting tomorrow, Monday, June 20th at 7 p.m. Why 7 p.m.? There are a group of people fraudulently calling themselves UIC. A group of people fraudulently calling themselves UIC, and they have scheduled a Zoom meeting for tomorrow, 7 p.m. We're going to schedule a meeting at that same time, and we're going to send that out to all of our members. So all of our members and supporters, please go onto the website now, uicjamaica.com, right? uicjamaica.com. Go to the website now and sign up as a member or supporter, or donor. It gives you three options: member, donor, supporter, anyone. Just go sign up so we get your email address so we can send you the login details so you can log into our meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m. Jamaica time. So wherever you are, right? 7 p.m. Jamaica time, we're going to have a meeting, or maybe a little earlier, I don't know, but we'll send it to you. But for you to make sure you can get all of these updates and notices, you have to subscribe so we'll have you in the database so we can send you information. So go now to uicjamaica.com and sign up as a member or a donor or a supporter. It costs nothing to sign up. So just sign up so we can be able to send you this. And Cool Guy, you'll call in because you're going to be on the Zoom conference and you can ask any questions there. So thank you for that. Individual that just goes to show why we shouldn't take money from the PSOJ. They will only force your hand. Absolutely. Lion Rule said, Mr. Patterson is a strong leader and is not a follower, a leader for all Jamaicans. Yes, Silver Cat says, what are your stands on the children homes that need help? They shouldn't. They should have been, the children homes are for children who have been abandoned by, their parents or otherwise. So we need to make sure properly fixed, man. It's not even a discussion to be had. It's just a reflection of government, bad government. Beverly Smith, blessings. How come we can't donate on YouTube? Good question. Fly, sorry, I can't pronounce the last name, not seeing it clearly. But let's look into that now. We need to make sure you can donate on YouTube. So, Madam Chair, Madam Treasurer, please look into it. See why you can't donate on YouTube. Another comment here from Jacqueline. Liberty of free choice to vote, right and better for our country. Only way is UIC. Silver Cat says, Mr. Patterson, if you were to be elected, what would be your first task? My first task is to replace the colonial constitution with a Jamaican one, so that we have a Jamaican constitution that fully protects our rights and freedom. And my second task, and by the way, these are simultaneously, while I'm working on the constitution, I'm fixing the crime problem and fixing the economy and fixing our education system. So it's kind of like simultaneous. So they'll all work in conjunction. Noel James, the private sector and the politicians are the ones who send Marcus Garvey to prison. Yes. Yes, there's so many comments here. So I can't take all of these now because I'm well over my time. I'll try a few more. What about us diaspora about voting for the next election? Who can be there in person? Yes, if you can come for the next election, please come home. But I can tell you this. If you donate, you're practically voting. If you donate to the UIC, if you can't come home to vote, but you donate to us, your donation is a vote. Your donation helps us to reach 10. If you send $50, you're helping us to reach 15 people, 20 people, 30 people to vote. So your donation can be many more votes than if you came home. All right. Another person says, stand strong, Mr. Patterson. Silvercat says, what would be, oh, I got that, yes. All right, there's so many here. Can't get through them. Time is up, have to go, but thank you all so very much for being here this afternoon. Really appreciate your support. Let us join hands, man. Let us work together. Let us stand together. Let's build one Jamaica because we're stronger together. We can overcome this. We must win the next election, and we can do this if all of us give $25 or more US equivalent every month. 1,000 person giving $25 a month will be the deciding factor in the next election. And we have to do it now so that we can reach the people now. So thank you very much. Have a good one. Happy Father's Day again to all the real fathers. And by real, I mean you're doing a good job with the children in your life, whether biological or not. You're doing a good job of teaching them to be respectful, respectable, empowering them to be good men and women of the future, and standing behind, standing beside, and standing in support of our good women. All the best. Have a good one until we talk again. Take care.